understand. Maybe it's simply, I don't understand it yet. This is the gallery experience.
Hashtag, do you really like this painting? You walk into a gallery. You see a painting. You stop. You look at it. And you think, I love this. But here's an uncomfortable question. Do you really love the painting? Or have you been influenced into loving it? We like to believe that our taste in art is completely personal. We imagine that we look at a painting and make an independent judgment. Beautiful, ugly, powerful, boring, brilliant. But our reactions are rarely as independent as we think. Before we even see the painting, the gallery has already begun telling us how important it is. Where is it hanging? How large is it? How is it illuminated? What is written beside it? Who painted it? And perhaps most importantly, what do we know about the artist? Imagine two paintings. One is painted by an unknown artist. The other is by one of the most celebrated artists in history. You are told that the first painting was created by an unknown beginner. The second was created by a legendary master. Would you look at them differently? Probably. Now imagine that the information was reversed. Suddenly, the painting you ignored begins to look interesting. The painting you admired begins to look ordinary. Nothing about the artwork changed. Only the story changed. This is one of the most powerful forces in the gallery experience. Context. We don't just look at art. We look at art through information. And information can change perception. Consider the museum label. It might tell you that a painting was created during a period of political upheaval. Suddenly, a dark background feels significant. It might tell you that the artist painted the work shortly after losing someone they loved. Suddenly, the expression on the figure's face looks different. It might tell you that the painting was rejected by critics when it was first exhibited. Suddenly, you may feel like you are discovering something that others failed to appreciate. The artwork hasn't changed. Your interpretation has. And this happens outside galleries too. Think about music. If someone tells you a song is one of the greatest recordings ever made, you may listen differently. If someone tells you a restaurant is one of the best in the city, your expectations change before you taste the food. And if someone tells you a painting is a masterpiece, you may begin looking for the masterpiece. This doesn't mean that famous art isn't great. Many famous works genuinely deserve their reputation. But fame can influence our eyes. There's another powerful influence. Other people. Walk into a gallery and notice where people gather. A large group is standing around one painting. People are taking photographs. Someone is explaining something to their friend. You become curious. You walk over. You look. And because everyone else appears interested, you become interested too. This is completely natural. Human beings are social creatures. We pay attention to what other people pay attention to. Sometimes another person's reaction helps us discover something wonderful. But sometimes we simply follow the crowd. And there is nothing wrong with that either. The interesting part is becoming aware of it. Because once you become aware of these influences, you can begin to separate them from your own response. Try something the next time you visit a gallery. Find a painting that you know nothing about. Don't read the label. Don't look at the artist's name. Don't see how many people are standing around it. Just look. Ask yourself, do I like this? What do I actually see? What catches my attention? What bothers me? Would I still like this painting if nobody told me it was important? Then read the label. Find out who created it. Learn the story. And look again. Did your opinion change? Maybe it did. And that's okay. We don't have to eliminate outside influences. We simply need to recognize them. Because there is another side to this question. Sometimes knowing the history of a painting makes us appreciate it more. A painting may seem simple until we understand what the artist was attempting. A portrait may seem ordinary until we discover who the person was. A landscape may appear beautiful until we learn that it represents a place destroyed by war. Knowledge can deepen our experience. The problem isn't context. The problem is when context replaces our own experience. When we stop asking what we see and simply accept what we're told to see. There's also something fascinating about expensive art. When we hear that a painting sold for millions of dollars, our brains immediately treat it as something extraordinary. We assume that something must be special if someone was willing to pay that much. But price is not the same thing as beauty. And popularity is not the same thing as meaning. The art market has its own forces. Collectors. dealers, museums, critics, auction houses, fashion, reputation, investment. All of these things can influence which artists become famous and which artists remain unknown. So perhaps we should ask ourselves a different question. Instead of asking, is this a great painting? Ask, what does this painting do to me? Does it make you curious? Does it disturb you? Does it remind you of something? Does it make you want to come closer? Does it make you want to leave? Does it stay in your mind after you've walked away? Those reactions belong to you. And nobody can tell you that your response is wrong. Because there's a difference between understanding why a painting is historically important and personally connecting with it. You can respect a masterpiece without loving it. You can love a painting that critics ignored. And you can stand in front of famous artwork and feel absolutely nothing. That doesn't make you a bad viewer. It makes you honest. So the next time you walk into a gallery, try to forget for a moment what you're supposed to like. Forget the reputation. Forget the price. Forget the crowd. Forget the famous name. Stand in front of the painting. Look, and ask yourself one simple question. If nobody had told me this was important, would I still stop? The answer might surprise you. Because sometimes the most personal experience of art begins when we stop looking through everyone else's eyes and start looking through our own. This is the gallery experience.